Hi everyone, welcome back to Just with Dara. This is the fourth episode of season two, and I'm really excited for today's episode because it's something that I feel pretty strongly about and something that I come to terms with recently and that I think is important for me to talk about now. And I also have another guest today, which is my friend Chisa. So you can introduce yourself now.
Hi, I'm Chisa, and I'm Nigerian from the Igbo tribe.
Okay, thank you. So as you guys can tell, from the title, the title is not Nigerian enough, question mark, question mark, question mark. So it's just like us both talking about how like I think like our struggles with um really finding our place and like our identity with us being Nigerian American and living in America all of our lives, and how we kind of resonate with like um being Nigerian, maybe being too Nigerian or being too American, or and trying to find like a middle ground between the two. So yeah, so I have a few prompts like per usual, and we're just gonna kind of go through and share our opinions on them. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start with the first prompt, which is do you ever feel out of place around other Nigerian people or even your extended family, possibly? So I'll go ahead and answer this first. So for me, not so much anymore, but it does happen sometimes and occasionally. I feel like when I'm around other Nigerian people, maybe let's say it's specifically Yorubas because that is the tribe that I'm from, and let's say like they're speaking like Yoruba heavily and like maybe not including any English words at all. Maybe I'm just kind of sitting there like, oh, I don't completely understand what they're saying. Whereas, that could sometimes make me feel out of place, if especially if like everybody's having and joining on this conversation, and then I'm just sitting there like, oh, I don't really know what you guys are talking about. That can definitely make me feel out of place. But I think because I've not become, sorry, I've started to understand a bit more of the language, and I would say to like a good enough amount that I don't feel that much out of place anymore. Now, where it comes to my extended family, I think maybe like in the beginning when we first started like meeting up with them often, I don't know if I like used if I could use the word out of place per se, but I think there were some times when I kind of felt like, oh, I can't completely relate with what they're saying or what they're doing. But at the same time, I think it partially does make me feel like I'm at home, so to speak, when I'm around other Nigerian people or around my extended family, because it does bring that sense of like belonging and that idea of like, oh yeah, we're all from the same place and we all have like, have the same culture and we share the same culture. So that's the good thing with that. And that's what's helped me, I think, a bit. And so I guess to answer the question fully, I do feel out of place sometimes, but overall, I would say I don't. So yeah, what about you?
Um, Sometimes I guess, like when my parents are talking to each other and like I'm in the room and like they're speaking full on Igbo, I I'm not gonna say I fully understand them because I don't. Like maybe just like a couple words I can pick out the context, but then just feel like when they ask me something in Evo and I don't know what that means, I just stare awkwardly, like I don't know what you're talking about. And then they just have to teach me, and then they always say something like, "Oh, you become so Americanized," and it just makes me feel like, "Oh dang, okay." And then around my extended family, I'm not gonna lie, I've only met my cousins from my mom's side. Like, because my dad, he's much older, and like all our cousins from his side are like in their 20s, 30s. And like I can't really talk to them like that cuz they're pretty much adults and they don't want to be hanging around children. And like plus they all live in Nigeria or Britain or somewhere outside the country. Like and we don't have a chance to talk. So yeah, I do kind of feel out of place, but I'm steadily learning.
Okay, that's good. I completely understand that. And also to piggyback off of what you said with like them like saying, oh, like you're so Americanized and things. I really okay, that's a huge part of what makes me feel out of place. Not this doesn't necessarily come from my parents, but like extended family, like let's say they ask me like one question in Yoruba and I can't answer it and I'm just standing there like confused, like, oh, I don't know what that means. Then they'll start saying also in Yoruba like, oh, you're too Americanized, or like you're becoming white or something like that. But then I understand what they mean by that though, because I've heard it so many times. Whereas I feel like just not being able to answer one question doesn't define like my whole being. And even with that though, I feel like because I don't completely maybe like I don't understand everything from the language doesn't completely mean that like I'm not Nigerian, or like that I'm not resonating with the culture or anything like that. And that's something that has really annoyed me a lot because it comes from both sides of my family. And it's my sister and I both have to go through it. And we're just kind of like, but really though, it's not necessarily our fault that we can't speak it fluently. Of course, we're both trying now, but like in the beginning anyways, it's not our fault. Not to say it's our parents' fault either, but like that, I think that's just kind of how it has been. Maybe because we live in America, maybe that's why we don't fully understand it, or fully, or that maybe that's why we can't speak it. But yeah, that's definitely annoying. The whole like, oh, you're becoming too Americanized, da da da. Like it's really frustrating, honestly, because then like you can't even really say anything. You're just kind of sitting there like, oh dang, here it comes again, and that's definitely an annoying part of it. But yeah, I completely agree with you on that, and that I have to go through that as well. And I think many people from many different cultures have to go through that, just from seeing their other family, if especially if they've been raised in America. And then I feel like almost everyone would have to go through maybe their family making them feel bad for being quote Americanized or anything like that.
Mhm.
So yeah. But to go on to the next prompt, which is, how do you feel about not being able to speak the language that your family speaks? Because I know that neither of us can speak it fluently. So I just want to see where you stand on that, and you can go ahead and answer that.
I feel so like embarrassed, but sometimes it gets annoying because my parents always like, "Oh, where was this skill that I wanted to learn?" But it was like back when I was probably like third grade, and they have not stopped to teach us then because like we can't always learn all our we can't learn a full language online when we have two fluent speaking people right in our home, and just like sometimes it's really just like awkward and annoying because you've had years to teach us, but then at the same time I can go out and learn my own. So yeah.
Okay, that's totally true. I again completely agree with you and completely resonate with what you're saying, because I know for me, I find it really frustrating, and it just makes me incredibly, incredibly, incredibly upset because like I think about it, and I only have one cousin who can speak Yoruba fluently, like completely without like messing up or anything like that. And when I like hear her speaking it, it just kind of makes me sad and like annoyed and frustrated because I'm like, dang, I wish that was me, because I truly do wish that I could speak it. I know that I've tried on my own in the past year to speak it, but at the same time, it is hard learning by yourself because I've kind of been self teaching myself. Like, I know I'll tell my parents and ask them, like, please only speak to me in Yoruba, like, don't speak to me in English. And they'll do it for like a few days or maybe in a few hours, but then they forget and start speaking to me in English. And I forget as well. And so that just makes it like more complicated. And it really does, like, it really eats me up on the inside because I feel like maybe I sometimes feel like if I could just speak it, then maybe other Nigerians will see me as fully Nigerian. Because I do feel sometimes that when I meet other Nigerians or meet like my extended family who I haven't seen maybe in a while or haven't met at all, I feel like they automatically assume that like I know nothing about Nigerian culture, or that I'm just completely Americanized or whitewashed or something like that, and that the only thing that makes me Nigerian is my name and like the fact that my parents are from there. And so I think that definitely does make me annoyed because I know, like I said before, so like my sister and I, we both have a hard time with that. And it's like every single time we meet somebody else, the first thing like they say, like, okay, so let's say like we have an aunt or a parent who's introducing us, and they'll say to our aunt or parent in Yoruba, like, oh, they probably don't understand Yoruba, or like, do they understand Yoruba? When you could just ask us directly. And the
Right.
thing is, majority of the time, like basic, like I said before, like I would say that we understand a good amount. Obviously, we don't understand everything because I mean, yeah, we just don't. But I do think that we understand a good amount and a decent enough amount. But it's really annoying when people just automatically assume that we don't know anything about it, or that we don't even understand basic words. Because this has happened multiple
No,
times.
for
Wait,
real.
sorry, what did you say?
It's a no for real.
Oh yeah, exactly. So this has happened like multiple times, and I know weeks ago, I think, or maybe like a month ago, my aunt had a friend who had come to visit in the house, and she had asked me something, and truthfully, I just didn't hear what she said, but she had asked me in Yoruba. And so being that I said, "Oh, sorry, what did you say?" because I literally just did not hear her, she then said it in English, assuming
Yeah,
that I didn't understand what she said. And I was like, I and then when she said it in English, I was like, I literally know how to say that in Yoruba. I just didn't hear you. Like I just asked you what to repeat yourself because I didn't hear you. And then it was just that was annoying because then even after she said it in English, then immediately afterwards she was like, "Oh yeah, she probably doesn't understand Yoruba." And I was like, "Bro, like I just didn't hear what you said. I just want you to repeat yourself." And that was pretty frustrating because it was a basic thing too. Like it wasn't even like some long like paragraph of words. It was just like a basic sentence. And that yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. And I know that I've tried, but at the same time, okay, so I think when I first started actively trying to learn Yoruba was when I want to say July of last year. I was like watching YouTube videos. I was actually like taking notes. I had a textbook and all this and that, and it was going well over the summer. And at that time, my mom was like actually speaking to me in Yoruba more as well. The times that she would remember, and I guess my dad as well. But then so when school started, I just got I guess more busy. So as much. And I know at that point, I told myself that by March 30th of 2021, so this year, that I should completely understand fluently, like everything, like completely every single word I understand, which
yeah,
not really there yet. I think I have improved from at that time, but I'm not completely there yet, like 100%. I would say maybe like 90% maybe. And then I also told myself that by December 15th of this year that I should be able to speak it fluently. But I think the problem is that so Yoruba, like it's not a complicated language to learn because I would say like it's pretty direct and pretty straightforward. It's just that when I actually go and try to speak it, I feel as if either like the words just like leave my brain or they're not or I can't say it in like the right order that it's supposed to go in, and that's just my struggle with it, I feel like. So that's why I think it's taking me harder, taking me longer, not taking me harder, I meant it's much harder for me and taking me longer to fully be able to like speak it fluently. So yeah, it's pretty annoying.
yeah.
um to go into the next question, which is what connects you the most with Nigerian culture?
I think what connects me most with Nigerian culture is being able to cook a lot of the food. Like sometimes I don't really like cooking because like I'm always called to cook, but then when I'm like cooking our cultural food, it just makes me feel more connected to it.
Okay, that's really good. So I think that's actually pretty interesting because I know for me, I can't really cook a lot of Nigerian food. I can cook the basics and stuff like that, but I can't cook like the intricate delicacies, which I know before you've told me about how you can and that you do that a lot, and I think that's really good. So for me, it's definitely 100% the music that connects me the most to Nigerian culture. Like the music just really brings me home because I feel like when I'm listening to Nigerian music, I'm just like, wow, yes, like I'm actually Nigerian. Oh my gosh, yes, that's a flex. Da, 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 da. Because they're just like, and it's not even like I think when I first got into it, I was doing it for like okay, I need something to connect me to the culture, and then like eventually I actually realized like I actually love this music and it's like type of music I listen to a lot because I really only listen to like two genres of music, which is R&B and then Nigerian music like Afro beats, and that's literally kind of it. And I think that really connects me the most because I love it so much, and it actually like whenever I'm listening to it, although I've never been to Nigeria, it makes me feel as if oh wow, like this is like home right here, and I'm actually like where I belong when I'm listening to that music, and yeah, so that's definitely what connects me the most to Nigerian music. I meant not what? Sorry, that's definitely what connects me the most to Nigerian culture. Sorry. Okay, so yeah. Anyways, prompt is: do you feel that if you ever lived in Nigeria or visited more often, do you think that you would feel more Nigerian?
Honestly, yeah, because I'd probably be able to speak the language and I'd probably have an accent, which is like whenever I hear or like meet people with accents, like I just feel like, oh, like they're really Nigerian. Like they probably grew up there and it's just like I feel jealous of them. But then I'd probably be able to understand um, my parents' stories and like how they lived and like all that stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely the same for me. I feel like if I, because I've never been there before, I know that you've never been there as well. I think if I either lived there or at least even just at least even visited more often, I think that that would help me feel a bit more like closer to home in a way. And when you were saying like the accents, that's definitely true because I know like some of my cousins who live there who are like around my age, and obviously of course they have Nigerian accents, and when I hear them talk I'm just like, oh wow, that's like cool because you're like you actually live there and you're not like just kind of experiencing like Nigerian culture from afar, whereas that's how I feel like I'm experiencing the culture, or
yeah,
only experiencing the culture when I'm like around my family and stuff like that. So I think that I would definitely love to be able to go um often and like actually be able to see it, because another thing is when I'm talking about like in school talking about like being a Nigerian stuff, like you know this because I talk about it like a lot, and then some people will ask me like, oh, like what's it like there, and then I have
right.
to be like, oh, I've never been there. It's just really sad because then when their faces fall and they're like surprised, they're just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, never been there before. And it's partially annoying because it's kind of like, I wish I could be able to tell people like about like what it's like there, but I can't since I've never been there. But I think, I guess the closer I get to that is just kind of talking to my parents about their experiences there and how it was like growing up there and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So now the next prompt is, do you feel as if other Nigerian people that you meet automatically assume certain things once you say or someone else says for you that you're from America? So this definitely ties in with what I was saying earlier about like the whole assumption thing. Like they just assume that maybe I don't understand Yoruba, or that I don't like understand even an ounce of it, or that I don't know anything about Nigeria or anything like that. It's definitely really like it definitely irks me because it's like you can't just completely assume that I don't know anything about the culture, whereas I actually feel like I do know a lot about it. And I've made it like a goal to know a lot about it. And so that definitely is a problem. But then when I show them, like, okay, yeah, I do actually understand and I do actually resonate with the culture, then it's like they're kind of shocked. And I'm like, yeah, well, you shouldn't be shocked because just because I'm from America or because I live there doesn't mean that I don't know anything about basically the land of my ancestors. And so, yeah.
To piggyback off of what you said, yeah, like when I meet them, they automatically assume I don't know anything, and they're not wrong, but like it just feels like they don't think of you as Nigerian. They just think of you as just like pure American. And even so, even my parents do this. Like they like I was literally wearing clothes the other day, and my dad was like, "Why are you so Americanized, bro? Am I supposed to wear what's it called? I should be like, bro. What do you want me to wear? Like, like it was a t-shirt and sweatpants, and that was it. Like, bro doesn't wear shorts every day, and I was shocked. I was like, okay, and it just feels like, what am I supposed to do at this point? I've been here all my life. I don't know what to do to make myself appear or just feel more Nigerian.
Yeah, I definitely get that. And that's a huge struggle that I feel like when people say things like that or make those assumptions, they don't really think about it's a struggle for us because we have to kind of like think about, because you know here in America, like I feel like if you act quote too Nigerian, the like Americans will say something and or
Yeah.
maybe like shame you for that. But then around your Nigerian family or other Nigerian people, if you're acting too American, they'll also shame you for that. So it's like you have to find this like middle ground. You have to figure out like which side or where do I truly belong to, where people won't keep shaming me for whatever you do and whatever move you make. It could be the wrong move or the right move, and it's just really annoying to kind of have like those people watching you. I feel in a way, watching like, oh, what's the next move they're gonna make? Are they gonna do something that's too Nigerian? Are they gonna do something that's too American? This, and that. And it's just really hard. And I feel like they don't really fully understand that about the struggle that we do actually have to
Mhm.
realize that, like, you know, we have this culture that of course we want to understand, that we love, of course, but at the same time we don't live there, we do live in America. And so it's like we have to think about the fact, you have to think about the fact that this is where we've been our whole lives, and this is kind of all we know in a way,
Yeah,
besides from things that like our family has told us and stuff. And so I think that that's something that I would say Nigerian elders really need to understand, that you can't like be shaming me or bashing me or making fun of me for saying something that may be too American, where that's literally where I've been all my life and I
right.
don't really know anywhere else. So yeah, pretty frustrating. Oh, also, what was it? I was gonna say, I think this happened like before. One of my aunts was like asking me something, and I guess the way I responded was like, I can't remember what the question is now, but whatever I responded was like what a quote American answer would be, and then she just like was kind of saying something about like, oh, like this is because you're too American or something like that, and I was just confused because I was like, but how am I supposed to? Oh yeah, I still can't remember exactly what the question was, but I just know that she was asking me something that I guess she assumed I would know, but there was kind of no way that I would know, being that I haven't been to Nigeria and I never, yeah, don't live there. I've never been there before, and
Right,
so I was just confused as to, it was like she was like almost blaming me that I didn't know, but I was like I didn't like choose, I don't know. It's like I didn't like choose to be brought up in America. I'm not saying that I don't want to be brought up there, but I'm just saying like it's not something that I was like, oh yeah, I never want to go to Nigeria and I don't want to be there. I don't want to visit there or anything like that, cuz I mean, if it was up to me, I would be going every year. But obviously that hasn't happened. So yeah, I think they just need to be more understanding and realize that it is hard for us to try to please both sides in a way, because you can't, I mean, the truth is you can't always please both sides. And so I think that if people were more understanding, it would make things a lot easier. So yeah. Okay, and now, so the last prompt is, what's your favorite aspect of Nigerian culture? And I'll let you go first for that one.
definitely like the clothing or the wed. Definitely the weddings because
Yes,
like
ma'am.
I just can't wait to have a big traditional wedding because everything about it, from the dances to everybody's clothes, the themes, everything is just so exciting. Like everybody is just happy for you on that day, and it's like that's a typical wedding, but it's like just more when it's like a Nigerian wedding. Like it's just so good.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, it's like the food and the parties in general, like how you were saying with weddings, like they're just so fun, and like it'll last forever. And like everybody's just there having good time, and like the music, the food, like everything is just on point. And I think that that would definitely be like my favorite aspect of it in general, because it's like every single time I'm at a Nigerian party. Granted, I may be having a huge headache because of how loud the music
Right.
is, but I know that I'm having fun because like I feel like I'm with my family and I'm with other Nigerian people and I feel as if I'm home, so to speak. And yeah, so that's definitely fun. Like forget the headache. I'm having fun, so it's fine. But yeah, that would definitely be my favorite aspect of Nigerian culture. So anyways, thank you, dear Chisa. Sorry,
Uh,
for joining me on this episode. I really appreciate it and I had a lot of fun. And I hope that all of you listeners enjoyed us talking about this, because I know it's something that we've both like kind of talked about before, but we haven't like really had a full conversation about it. So yeah, I would say that all of you should just try to be more understanding of people from different cultures and different backgrounds and ethnicities, and just try to be accepting of everyone. So thank you again for joining me. Bye.
Welcome.